Hello there again, Angry Watchman. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a rant, per se, on D.Marble's rant. So it's an angry rant on D.Marble's rant. And, you know, it's the same old usual, because this guy is spreading such bullshit that he's so convinced of what he talks about, which is what irritates me. And this smug smile when he thinks he's like got it, even though he's been told time and time again how wrong he is. But I'm not going to play this part of the video because, you know, the first 12 minutes, because he's essentially just watching this video done by the Known Universe by AMNH, so American Museum of Natural History. So it goes through the Known Universe, which, you know, D.Marble talks about. Oh, you know, I used to believe in this stuff, and didn't come to think that this was all CGI. Well, yes, this is computer generated. This is a 3D representative map of what we've managed to map out using the technology that we have. And I just don't think he understands the technology involved here. Remember, it's more than just literally taking a picture with a camera and then there we are, we've mapped it. They take things through mediums of light waves, you know, and thanks to our understanding of the constant speed of light, we can understand how far things are away, and then using things like what's the word? It'll come to me in a minute. Forgotten. Never mind. It'll probably come to me. But due to our understanding of different stars and how they move compared to other stars in the background, and depending on how much, let's say, one star moves depending on one that could be much further away, they can understand the distances and so on and so forth. And thanks to using different wavelengths of light whilst taking imagery, they can understand a lot more. I mean, the Kepler telescope has quite complicated mathematical systems that can detect fluctuations in light, and in doing so can understand if a sun has planets. Now, thanks to the algorithms, they can understand that not only how big the planet is that's passing in front of the light source, i.e. the other star, but also its orbital distance and its orbital speed. I think the Kepler telescope actually once found out that this planet passed in front of it. Also, the planet's moon passed in front of the sun at a certain angle. So they found out it had sun. Just read up orbital mechanics, okay, D.Marble? So this is where he's going to go, and I'm going to go off a few points and just see if I can keep my nerve throughout this video.
On a few hundred feet in the air, and you could see the bridge over the water was just a few feet above the water. It was flat.
Take scale and distance into account, please. We are very small compared to this planet. Like I've said before, you can put a flea on a large exercise ball. You know, those massive ones that you sit on. Putting a flea on that exercise ball, that flea will probably be around about the size of the Mount Everest. This is the shit I'm talking about here when it comes to scale. Scale is extremely important. And then you can, you know, I can show you images all day long of, like, you know, that basketball. If you zoom in close enough, it appears flat. And in terms to our scale, there's, on ground level at least, there's no way we're going to ever see curvature.
Level, the bridge over the water, and it goes off in one direction, and as it goes off over there, you can see the horizon going flat in the other direction.
Yes, and
when I saw that picture,
hang on, this comment here. Oh, he's got liars of NASA. Very funny. Grass defies gravity. If I want to stand up, I need muscles and a central nervous system. And what does grass have? And grass stands up straight up for a week straight. No, grass stands up because it's got rigidity, you bell end. Much like trees. Looks like bushes. And many other fucking things. You don't need muscles and a central nervous system to stand up straight. You need rigidity. which is why we have unskeleton. Because basically, without a skeleton, it wouldn't matter if we had muscles and a central nervous system. We wouldn't still not be able to stand up. It's our skeleton rigidity, you daft bellend.
Sure. When I saw that picture of that, I got irritated.
Oh, did you now? It's probably a minuscule of how irritated I am, and many other people are, with explaining shit to you.
Honestly, I became irritated because it's 2018.
Yes, it's 2018, and numbskulls like you think the Earth is flat. You still have no proof. Your laser test is not proof. You've just understood the fucking physics behind it. You know? All you flat earthers have is that you think every image from NASA is fake. And that's it. That's all you have.
And there are people, right?
See? It's that smug face of his that really winds me up.
Right now, who we have to argue with about whether or not water is level.
Water can be level and curved at the same time. Level does not mean flat. Things can be a level distance over the surface of a sphere. Let me give you an example, basically. If I grabbed a marble, okay, and I covered that marble in plasticine, and let's just say the plasticine was about a millimeter thick, right? And I worked that plasticine covered marble for a while until it looked like a perfect sphere. Now that's level. So basically that plasticine is level around the outside of the marble. Don't know why I used marble for. There seems like some sort of word, some sort of pun on D.Marble, but you know what I mean.
We have to explain to adults that water in large quantity has a surface that is level.
Barring from when you get 30 to 100-foot waves, maybe. Or the fact that tides being non-uniform around the world does not make sense on a flat Earth. Makes perfect sense on the globe model, on the heliocentric model, if you just understand the trajectory and the orbit of the moon and where the moon is. You understand when tides go in and tides go out, and how much they go in, judging by the positions of the moon. Because Eric Dubé did the same mistake. He says that Eric Dubé once said that tides being ununiform proves that the Earth is flat, which, no, that actually does the exact opposite. Because Eric Dubé once said that somewhere in the North Pole there's like a giant geyser, things up, water, sucks it in, pulls it back up, and sends it across. But no, that would mean that the tides around the world would be uniform. But they're not. For example, take a big swimming pool and have a big sinkhole. Right? For a certain time, until the level gets too low, obviously, until it starts forming a giant whirlpool, the swimming pool's not going to empty by a couple of inches on one side first, more than the other side. Okay? It's just that. Sorry, that was a bit of a divergent rant there, but you know what I mean. But no, this whole water level is flat thing, level flat, is not an argument. And you guys have been told why it isn't an argument quite often.
That is flat. Like if you go to
Or looks completely flat to us.
a beach in Hawaii, as far as you can see, the surface of the ocean is flat. But people believe that the Earth is so small that you can't see any curvature out in
No, the Earth is large. Wrong word there, sunshine.
the distance. Although when you look out front, you see boats going over the curvature.
Yes.
Which is odd. But you look left to right, you see hundreds of miles, maybe even. At least dozens of miles from left to right, and you don't see any curvature. There's no noticeable curvature from anywhere that you can see standing next to a body of water on Earth, period.
No, this is where you're going wrong. the horizon from where you're standing is not a straight line. It is an encompassing circle. It's the illusion. It's an illusion. It's not a straight line from left to right. It just isn't. Learn what a horizon is. Even if the Earth was flat, it'll give you the same sort of idea. Your horizon would not be a perfect straight line from left to right. It's not how a horizon works. Basically, grab, let's say, a disc. So a perfect disc. Or let's just say a hula hoop. A big hula hoop. Hold that hula hoop in such a way, at eye level, at a distance at an eye level, at a certain way, and that will appear to look like a fucking straight line. It's just how it works. It's how your eyes perceive it to be. The horizon is not a straight, perfect, flat line from left to right.
And yet, we've all been dumbed down, fluoridated.
Oh, fucking fluoridated. Fucking gorgeous. Yes, fluoride is good for keeping your teeth clean. But apparently, according to many conspirators like anti-vaxxers, it's... Oh, fuck that. I'm not getting into that shit.
To where most people have been brainwashed into actually believing this.
No, we're not... How much work do you think actually went into the understanding of the heliocentric model? And space in general? I don't think you've actually grasped how much data has been compiled over the last 1,000 years or 2,000 years. It's a countless amount. The amount of data that's been gathered through years of trial and error, through improvements of a technology, back and forth, the peer-reviewed information, things people get sometimes things get wrong, and then it's improved upon time and time and time again. Hell, the theory of evolution, right? No, not evolution. Wrong word. Relativity. Einstein, right now, right? If he was still alive, if he was told that there was a mistake in his theory of relativity, he would relish it, because he can then improve it and fix it and get thing. It's just people even seem to think that he came up with it and nobody questioned it, which was quite the opposite. Not many people believed his idea for relativity. Not even himself, to be quite honest with you. I mean, he wanted people, I think, to prove him wrong, but nobody has. And to this day, not even the string theory, not even quantum physics, has been able to prove relativity wrong. Not even close.
And that's just ridiculous.
No, it's about the fact comprehending what you've been told, and then doing a bit of, a bit of fucking research.
And this is when people say gravity.
Well done, you can understand it.
Of course, they're going to say gravity, because that's what they have to believe in. Gravity's the glue that holds this whole lie together.
And gravity's observable. It's measurable. It's visible. We can see it happening. Density and buoyancy is not enough for things to work. And I've come up with a better thing, right? Water pressure increases the deeper you go, right? So many objects would rise depending on from a high water pressure to a low water pressure, right? Comes through that. Now, air pressure decreases the higher you go, right? So why don't things fall up? So there was an equation for this. It was off an old video from Cool Hard Logic, right? Visualize this, and I probably have to mention this again eventually, right? Visualize a ball in the sky, right? I haven't told you which orientation it is, or direction, or whatever, or how heavy the ball is, nothing. Now, in all intents and purposes, the air pressure around that ball, 360 degrees around the whole ball, around its entire surface, right, would be exactly the same, right? why would that ball fall in any direction over preference over any other? Does that make sense to you, D.Marble?
Always has been. So if you believe in
Yes, but it's not a go-to thing because it neatly explains everything. It's because it's there, it exists.
gravity, then that means that you believe that the Earth is a globe and you're at some crazy angle other than 90 degrees as you experience.
Which is not, our angle isn't due to the gravity. That was due to one great big off fucking asteroid that was about the size of Mars that smashed into us at one point.
And on the underside of the globe, from where you are relatively on Earth, water is sticking to the bottom of a ball. Now, you're saying
It's not sticking to the bottom of the ball, it's being held there.
that because you consider the idea that gravity behaves the same way on Earth as it does out in space.
No. Oh, for fuck. No, that's not. Without a mass of an object in space, gravity doesn't exist. Right? Space, there is no gravity in space, which is why things float. I mean, he's got his complete concept of what gravity is mixed up.
Because
basically, if there were no planets, there would be no gravity. If there was no sun, there'd be no gravity. It's the objects being in space that creates gravity.
told that out in space, everything has been shaped into a sphere. And
over a very long period of time.
And that since everything out in space is a sphere, that means that Earth is a sphere also.
Sorry, pardon me.
Which is why
drinking Pepsi. Do apologize.
Water is able to contour to the bottom of the globe. So that would mean that gravity supposedly works the same way on Earth that it does out in space, to some degree.
No, the reason why we're a sphere and every other planet is a sphere is due to... Oh, bloody hell, do apologize. It's because of gravity. It's the fact that Earth, whilst it was forming, basically, just look it up. You know, this is funny, right? Neil deGrasse Tyson's Cosmos perfectly explains how the solar system came into being. Like I said, without objects of mass, there is no gravity. The Earth basically was an amalgamation of loads of debris, right, that crashed into each other, formed, got bigger and bigger and bigger, and formed a great mass, which then had gravity. So more and more came in, and blah blah, and so on and so forth.
But here on Earth, the way that things work out is that they say that gravity affects things in that it is pulling things towards the center of mass, because that's what gravity is supposed to do. Gravity is the force that pulls things to the center of mass. Yeah, okay.
Yes, it's observable.
So when you drop something, that's gravity pulling it down, although you don't feel anything pulling you down. It's just the fact that things are heavier than the air around them, but okay.
No, because let's face it, why would somebody, let's put it this way, if the air above you is what pushes you down, right, that means somebody can go about 100,000 feet, why would they fall down? And that's a kicker again for the flat earth. Why does air pressure decrease the higher you go? Why? Gravity and shit explains this, but you can't.
Let's go with that. So here on Earth, gravity is causing everything to be pulled towards the center of mass, but out in space, gravity has the power to turn everything into a sphere and only causes one body of mass to orbit around another out in space.
No. There's a reason why Saturn and Jupiter have more than one moon. Okay, do you understand that? It's not one body of mass around another. There's a reason why there's 8 planets. Well, 9 if you count Pluto. There's a reason why those planets, and then you got to count the asteroid belt, which also orbits the sun, or orbits around the influence of the sun. I mean, come on, this is easy shit to look up, please.
Because I mean, if gravity were that way, at some point there would just be like there would be few bodies out in space, because the one large mass will be pulling everything towards it constantly out in space, if that were the case of this situation.
But remember, an orbit, okay? Yes, it's pulling, which has brought it into orbit. Now, I don't know, the Earth will, planets will speed up around its orbit. Okay? In orbital mechanics, it's just ways I'm just giving you the layman thing of it. Where, because there's no friction, there's nothing slowing it down. Because basically, if that planet slows down, whilst influenced by the planet's greater, or the bigger planet's greater mass, it would then get closer. It would then be pulled in. But because that planet's not slowing down, it won't be pulled in. You get what I mean here? I would wish somebody to correct me if that's incorrect. Like I said, I'm not a physicist, I'm not an astronomer, but I'm just using a bit of common sense here.
But that doesn't seem to be what's going on.
Yes, it is.
So it's like out in space, gravity's just making things orbit. Out here on Earth, everything's being pulled towards the center of mass. But let's consider that...
No, again, he's got mixed up. He just seems to think that gravity is space. There's a reason why the moon orbits around us, is because of gravity. There's a reason why satellites orbit us, because they're in Earth's gravitational orbit. Gravitational pull. What is he? I'm not quite sure. Does D.Marble suspect that? Does he think that that we should be hovering above the planet, flying and circling around it? Is that what he thinks that it should be doing?
Gravity actually behaves out in space to actually pull things together. Okay.
Yes.
It's gravity. The larger body is attracting the smaller body. Okay. So let's play with the Earth and the Moon. Let's do that real quick. Let's talk about the Earth and the Moon.
So he's unsure of what he's talking about, and yet he acts so smug. You know? It's the same with Jeranism. Jeranism always, most of the time, starts off with, "Oh, I don't claim that I know everything," and all that kind of bollocks he says to try and make him sound honest. But then when he thinks he spotted a fakery, he acts like it's absolute fact. And that his opinion of what he thinks is going on is what actually is going on. D.Marble's the same.
Now, gravity on Earth, and I just looked up something real quick, like, things fall. We're told that it's because of gravity.
Maybe you should have looked at it, not quickly, but probably extensively looked at it, please.
Gravity. So let's look at some of the fastest ways that things can fall towards the Earth. I looked up a site on skydiving, and the terminal velocity that they spoke of there was basically in a stable belly of the Earth's position. Terminal velocity is about 120 miles per hour. Okay,
let's type that in. Terminal velocity. Terminal velocity is the highest velocity attainable by an object as it falls through fluid. So air as the most common example. It occurs when the sum of the drag force and the buoyancy is equal to the downward force of gravity. So he doesn't like to mention that, does he? So let's have a look at it. Google, what is terminal velocity and how is it reached? The force of air resistance is approximate and proportional to the speed of the falling object, so that air resistance increases and the object is accelerating. After being dropped from rest until terminal velocity is reached, At terminal velocity, air resistance equals the magnitude of the weight of the falling object. There we go. Simple as that.
In stable free fall, head down position has a terminal speed of around 152 to 180 miles per hour.
Okay, let's have a look. Human. Terminal velocity of a human. So near the surface of the Earth, the object of free fall of vacuum and accelerating approximately 9.8 meters per second squared, independent of its mass. With the air resistance acting on the object that has been dropped, the object will eventually reach terminal velocity, which is around 53 meters per second, 195 kilometers, or 122 miles per hour for a human skydiver. Terminal velocity of a skydiver in free fall position, where they are falling with their belly towards the Earth, is about 122 miles an hour. But they can increase their speed tremendously by orientating their heads towards the Earth, diving towards the ground. Let's have a click on this. Diving towards the ground, a position of skydiver's velocity increasing to more than 400 kilometers an hour. So there we go. Good. D.Marble done a bit of research here. Well done.
But if you reduce the drag completely, you're just face down, body's contoured, feet together, no drag. You can get up to 300 miles per hour.
Well done.
Heading back to the surface of the Earth, being pulled down by the force of gravity. Okay.
Yeah, it's a very layman term saying that gravity pulls, but never mind.
Now, so from what I read there, the slowest speed that you would jump out of a plane, if you're just high enough, and you're falling at 120 miles per hour at the slowest. Okay, so let's say that the Earth were actually behaving out in space as far as its gravitational pull, the way that it acts on Earth. What if the moon, being that the moon is in the Earth's gravitational pull, right?
I think I can see where he's going with this.
Because the moon is orbiting around the Earth still, and it must still be in the Earth's gravitational pull, because pull insinuates that it's being pulled towards it.
Are you assuming that the skydiver should go into orbit?
So, being that the moon is still in the Earth's gravitational pull, the moon is 239,000 miles away. Now,
which is mathematically tested, proven, and measurable. Using trigonometry, you can prove that the moon is that far away.
In order to travel from Earth to the moon at 120 miles per hour, it would take 1,991.66 hours to get from the Earth to the moon. Now, let's break that down into days. Now, divide that by 24, and that's 82.98 days to travel from the Earth to the moon.
This is irrelevant, but never mind.
If you're going 120 miles per hour. But since the Earth is the thing that's supposed to be pulling things towards it because of its gravity, then that would mean the moon should slam into the Earth at some point in like 82
Yep, nailed it.
2 days if it were to actually start moving towards the Earth.
Learn how orbital mechanics work, please.
Okay, let's slow it down. Let's slow it down then.
Oh, good grief, now he's trying to be clever.
Let's say that the moon would only be accelerating back towards the Earth at 60 miles per hour. So 239,000 divided by 60. All right, that gives us 39,000 or 3,000.
Hang on. People are giving money to this guy? Fuck, why? Why? It's the same with Jeranism, right? Why would Jeranism, a channel that's only got about 100,000 subscribers, right? And what strikes me as odd about Jeranism is that the sheer amount of different ways you can give money to him. It's astonishing. You can partly give him money through Amazon, PayPal, and Patreon. Why? Why is that fucking necessary? This shows to me, right, either D.Marble and Jeranism really are this stupid, or they've discovered that this is a good way to make money, and they're just ripping people off. And somebody like D.Marble, for example, right, him living in his van, he'd probably want any sort of fucking cash he can get. He's seeing this as a bloody money spinner, which is what I've deduced from this.
966.66 hours in order to travel from the moon to the Earth at 60 miles per hour. Divide that by 24, okay? And that's going to give us 165.97 days. About 5.5 months to get from here to there, or from the moon slamming into the Earth because of the Earth's gravitational pull. Now, if we slice it again and say 30 miles per hour, that's basically 331.94 days. How long has the moon been 239,000 miles away?
Jesus Christ, you need to learn what the term gravity in orbit actually is. See, he looks like he's cracked something. He's acting so smug and thing like, oh, I figured this out. Here's a tangible problem that apparently other scientists that are far more well-informed and intelligent than he is haven't figured this out. See? It's his smugness that fucking winds me up.
You know what I'm saying?
No, the moon is in orbit. And because there's no friction, there's no slowing down. Look up what constant free fall is. Right? Like that term, right? If you fired a cannon on Earth, the cannon will fire and eventually arc down and then fall to Earth again. But if you fired that cannonball higher, straight out, right? But you went up, let's say, 200 miles, maybe 300 miles up, where the ISS is. If you fired it then, it would then probably join orbit and will go around in constant freefall. And because there's no friction, it won't slow down. It won't drop. So basically, it's an orbit. It's slowing down, speeding up as it, as it circles. It's similar. It's things pull to the center, yes, but he's got this sort of idea that gravity just pulls down. You know what I mean?
It's just a matter of just considering these things. Like, how far away is that? Why is the moon not slamming into the Earth?
Well, look up orbital mechanics. I've said that before.
Isn't it supposed to be? Isn't it supposed to be coming back this way? No, and then
no, it's not.
I got on and I just looked into that, and actually what they say is that in actuality, thank you, Marcus Montez, I appreciate you. What they say in actuality is that no, the moon isn't getting closer to the Earth. In fact, the moon is moving 1.5 inches further away from the Earth every year.
Yes, because they can measure it. Because we've got devices on the moon, thanks to laser tracking, can measure its distance probably through metric millimeters. Millimeters, millionth of millimeters every so often. So they can measure this shit. They don't just guess.
So here's the story of the moon.
Yeah, dude, you haven't figured anything out. You haven't found an issue. You haven't found a problem that your smug ass has seemingly figured out. No, okay? You just don't understand what you're talking about.
Billions and billions of years ago.
Yes, kind of, maybe.
When the Earth was still cooling, after the Big Bang.
No. Earth didn't exist until billions of years after the Big Bang. Earth's formation has got nothing to fucking do with the Big Bang.
Okay, this giant rock, boom, slammed into the Earth, broke off.
Yes, which is why we have an axial tilt.
And formed the moon. The Earth went on to continue, forming itself into the perfect sphere that it is, and water came up, and it was a billion-year process and all that. And the moon.
What do you mean water came up? No, how water came to exist on this planet is that asteroids, during its formation, had loads of hydrogen and many other materials in it. Then the hydrogen then condensed, steam condensed and formed rain, which then basically created the atmosphere that we now have.
It didn't so much, escape. Whatever hit it must have hit it really slow, because it's taken so long for the moon to escape Earth's gravitational pull out in space, some way or another. And then while it...
No, it's that bits broke off. Bits broke off the Earth, went a certain distance, and created its own sort of mass that was big enough. But then, because the Earth's mass was greater, that object, i.e. the moon, then orbited the Earth.
It was in.
And again, this is all hypothesis again. I don't think that many scientists or physicists or astronomers think that that's absolute fact, how the moon formed. But it's just one of those well-educated guesses that's got a lot of fact-based understanding and material behind it.
The Earth's gravitational pull, the moon itself that broke off from the Earth as a result of this impact, it formed itself into a perfect sphere that never spins. Because
Which it does, because it's tidally locked to the Earth, so it spins once every 24 hours. It's just the way... Look, if the Earth didn't spin... If the moon did not rotate at all, you would actually not see the same face every night. Basically, every one orbit of the Earth that the moon does, it rotates once.
Only see that one side of the moon.
Now, I would like to explain to you, how is that possible on the flat Earth? I don't think your smugness can answer that, can it?
And that moon has...
You can contort your fucking lips into, that sounds fucking dumb, as much as you want. You're not fooling anyone, D.Marble.
It's been slowly moving away from Earth, 1.5 inch every year.
Because we've measured it, thanks to science and technology and the satellites. And just learning all this shit that you think is fake, even though you can't prove that it's fucking fake.
And they believe it.
What do you mean, we believe it? No, again, do you not understand how much work is done in the field of astronomy and physics? How much data is probably being compiled over the last year alone, let alone the last 2,000 years? I mean, fuck's sake. Your understanding of what astronomy is and what the heliocentric model is and what you think gravity is and science physics is so fucking simplistic, it's aggravating.
Here, let me
Oh, somebody's giving him now fucking $20. What the? Who is giving this shit back money?
Let me try to tell you why they need the millions and billions.
No, it's just simply because that's the measurable speed. And we know how fast light travels and many other types of things. Put two and two together and you come up with the understanding of time.
Let me break this down for you. They got to give you the millions and billions. This happened billions of years ago. Well, the moon is moving away from the Earth, but it will be imperceptible. And by the time you're gone, you're long gone, you won't even notice that the moon continued doing its regular 28-day cycle. Because your life
Yeah, what you trying to prove there?
That's your life. In the span of millions and billions of years, that's you
Yes, well done.
in the middle of there.
What's that supposed to prove?
They need the millions
Somebody else just give him. Oh, good grief.
and billions because they can tell you stuff that happened so long ago that you can't fathom it. And then while you're here,
No, that's our understanding. This is what we know with the technology and the learning process that we've done. They didn't just come up with this shit overnight. This took a lot of fucking thinking and process and trial and error to get to where we are now.
it lulls you into a false sense of security because they're saying that nothing too serious is going to happen until it's way out there.
Yeah? What's your point? I can say that about religious people, where apparently they've been planning the end of the fucking world for fucking almost the last 2,000 years, and it's never happened. You believe something that you have no concept of, right? In one of your videos, you read off passages from the Bible. Now, most of those passages are apparently over 3,000 to 4,000 years old. And you believe that they're that old. You believe that they were written by this this person of unimaginable knowledge and, God this and God that. Like, for you, for example, why do you believe that everything in that Bible was fact? You can't, but yet you do. Do you see the issue here? The hypocrisy is unreal.
Billions of years into the future, they're like, yeah, but we're eventually going to lose.
Basically, what this billions of years in the future is that using the speed of light, using the distances that we've measured things to be, this is how long it will take for them to get to us.
Our moon in 4.5 billion years. You're going to be gone by then. So what?
Yeah, hope I will be. Hope we'd move off and live on other planets by then. What's your point? This is the thing, right? It's again, things have changed. Okay? Like the position of Polaris. The position of Polaris has definitely changed over the last 2,000 to 3,000 years. They say Polaris wasn't even considered a pole star until the 1100s. And that a Greek navigator back at, I think, a couple of BC at some point, right, that navigator actually said that the northern part of the sky was devoid of any notable stars. The northern pole was devoid of any bright stars, basically meaning that Polaris was nowhere near. And that I hate it when flat earthers also say that constellations have been the same for thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years, and yet they've got no physical evidence at all to back that up.
What it is in this time span of your life, while they're giving you the millions and billions, everything is in a position during your lifetime to where you look up and it is imperceptible that anything is changing.
Even though, thanks to astronomy, we can watch other planets orbit other stars, watch the moons orbit like Jupiter and Saturn, watch actually other solar systems and galaxies and other stars actually move. We've measured and seen this.
That is why they need the millions and billions.
No, because that's what we've perceived it to be. This is the knowledge that we've built up over time.
Because if everything is moving in such infinitesimal, incremental movements, that it is imperceptible that anything is moving out there, while you're living, you're never going to ask a question about it. Because
why wouldn't I? How do you know people won't? Most likely people will. And thousands and millions of people probably already have.
Because it's already programmed into you that you're not going to notice that the moon's getting further away. You're not going to notice whether the sun's going further away or getting closer away.
Even though one day, very soon, we might have technology that will measure that for us. That probably might be readily available.
Because it takes billions of years to do it. And you're
So what?
not going to live billions of years.
Yeah, so what? What's your fucking point?
And they could get, and if they get all of us to continue believing that nonsense, they could get away with that for...
Yeah, but the only trouble is, D.Marbles, is that you choose, right, to not bother to understand it. This is my problem with you. Is that you've essentially decided that everything is bollocks and everything is lies just because you want it to be. You have no proof that it is. All it is, same with Jeranism, same with all the flat earthers, is that all it is that it doesn't make sense to you, and because it doesn't make sense to you, you've decided that it's stupid. I'm sorry, but that's not good enough.
For millions of years, if everybody continues believing that.
Even though, give it about 1,000 years, or hell, even give it about 1,000 years or so, or if that, only a couple of hundred years, we probably wouldn't see a noticeable difference in the movement of Polaris. In about 1,000 years, or hell, only in a couple of hundred years, probably Polaris would have moved another degree or so off.
You get it?
No, I don't. I really fucking don't.
Thank you, Molly Lassiter. And Miss China. I appreciate you.
Ugh, Jesus Christ.
This is the big deception. You're going to go your whole life thinking that...
Yes, and you'd rather us go our whole life without even bothering to explore. Because it just simply doesn't make sense to you. You want all astronomy and all exploration of space to just cease and desist because you think it's fucking stupid, which is what fucking boils my fucking blood about you people. Is that because you think it's fake, well, there's no need to explore, because you just think because reasons, space is fake, there's no need to go up there. Even though we have photographic evidence that have been done by amateur astronomers, amateur photographers, of planets that match consistently up with what NASA's doing. Go out there and look for yourself. Get a really good camera, let's say that new P1000, and get a good telescope to attach it to. You could take amazing images, right, of Saturn and Jupiter and Venus and Mercury and all the above. Do it for yourself, rather than believing all these shitty ass memes that come that flat earthers use.
The reason why you don't notice any of this stuff going on is because it's going to take millions and billions of years to do it. How you know?
Well, if you probably did a bit of research, maybe then you will know. Maybe if you dedicated your life to astronomy, you can probably measure it yourself.
You're going to be long gone, so don't even worry about it. People that are smarter than you figure that out. So you don't need to worry about that. You don't need to think about any of that stuff.
You do realise that every day there are probably new people that are joining the teams at NASA, at SpaceX, who are becoming new and inspired astronomers and physicists, or astrophysicists. We're not just going like, oh yeah, there's already astronomers. There's no need for anyone to join in. There's no need to have a career in astronomy. People are already doing it. No, bollocks.
Don't you worry yourself with all that stuff. We already got that figured out. You just...
No, but there are people willing to learn, unlike you, who just gleefully just want to shit on fucking all the progress that we've made in science.
live your life and you watch your TV and you entertain yourself and you follow your football team and you follow this celebrity and you catch up on these movies and you listen to this music and you do this and you do that and we keep you busy and you work your job and you get into this political ideology and you fall into this societal trap and you do this and you get into that
Oh yeah, because all the world's fucking conspiracy, blah 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 blah.
snare, this mental dungeon, this mental cage. We're all running around in the matrix, got no idea what the heck's going on.
Let me just put it this way to you, D.Marble. If you think that the world is so fucking good at this deception and this matrix bullshit and lying to you, how do you know that you're still not being lied to and that your perception of what reality is also fucking fake? Answer me that. Please tell me, how are you so fucking clever that you figured this out? Let me just say this. Is there a lot of shit going on that I probably don't know about? Of course there is. With false flag attacks and espionage and governments being greedy and wars being waged for all the wrong reasons and all this kind of crap, stealing money, Rothschild this, blah 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 blah. Do I understand that this shit goes on? Yes, I do. Do I think that the Earth's flat? No.
Because we're kept so busy.
Maybe it's because it's nice to earn money and buy things, like the money that you use to buy your van and to buy all your fucking t-shirts that you made and that flat earth fucking necklace you've got around your bloody neck. You know, the woman you had to pay that fucking braids your hair every so fucking often.
And we don't have time to think.
And what you mean don't have time to think? I think a lot of people in their spare time do like to think.
Thank you, NASA CGI snakes.
He gave you $2.
You think about that?
Yes. I've thought about everything in astronomy. I don't understand it all, I'm not a fucking genius, but I don't fucking decide to just disbelieve them because I think fucking every image that NASA brings down is CGI.
That's craziness. I was considering this earlier, like, are you kidding me?
No, but you're assuming that people don't want to think about it or talk about it, which a lot of people most likely are.
People still believe this.
You believe that the Earth is flat, even though you have no proof at all.
People still believe this stuff.
The only trouble is, I'm not going to just unquestionably just believe Neil deGrasse Tyson or believe NASA. I go look at it for myself, and I look at the understanding. I look at the progress in which they did and everything they did to actually get to that point of understanding. I don't just go, well, that just seems impossible, so therefore it must be.
And folks will say, well, I mean, of course all this stuff has been mapped out. It's all been mapped out.
No, again, he's going back to this video. This has been mapped out over many, many years of taking images from different parts of space at different increments of distance and zoom and gradients of light absorption and through different wavelengths of light. And when you do that and you understand the science behind it, you can understand the distance behind things, which is how we've got quite a good idea of the mapping of space. They didn't just take a picture and just go, well, you know, this star is closer to us than this one, and this one is further away than that one, and this gas cloud is doing this and this and this. No, it's a little bit more complicated than that, D.
Every time some civilian agency, every time some group of students, every time somebody sends up a rocket that gets hundreds of thousands of feet into the air, and they see a flat horizon. Every time students send a balloon up and they all see a flat horizon.
Because most of the time they're using a narrow angle lens or a narrow field of view. So it's always going to look flat that way. Or the curve is there, but insurmountable. And I can show you countless of those satellites which show the curve. Even the dog cam one, which loads of flat earthers go to show a flat horizon, even that one shows fucking curve. But the haze, they focus on that. But if you went into Photoshop and fiddled with the contrast a bit, you can see that there is a fucking curve. But then they might slightly go, oh no, it's a fisheye lens. So we're back to fucking square one with these people.
And that's what's shown. Oh no, you're not high enough.
Yeah. Take in scale, distance. The Earth is very big.
The only people on Earth that can get high enough to see the curvature, the obvious curvature of the Earth, is these space agencies.
And there's an awful lot of them. And an awful lot of people working for them as well. There's the American Space Agency, the Indian Space Agency, the European Space Agency, the Japanese Space Agency, the Chinese Space Agency, the Russian Space Agency. You know, there's probably many others, many others that have got their own sort of space agency thing going.
So it's all second-hand information.
Even though you can probably do it for yourself eventually, just, you know. Oh, and, oh, by the way, second-hand information. And everything that's written in the Bible isn't? You're saying that you had first-hand experience and what happened there? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
We have to believe them. We have to trust them.
No, we don't have to. It's the same with Jeranism's the same again as D. Is that they assume that nobody has ever questioned this. Like Einstein, right? When Einstein came up with relativity and Darwin came up with evolution, all these people seem to assume that no one ever questioned them, which could not be further from the truth. Countless of people questioned Einstein and tried to prove him wrong and failed.
That they're telling us the truth. You have to believe in these known liars.
What do you mean known liars? What lies have NASA done? Oh, you're going to talk about the moon landings, are you?
You have to believe that they put a man on the moon.
Yes, and no flat earther has come up with any evidence of fakery yet at all.
When it's been said so many times that they can't get through the Van Allen radiation belt, that they can't get beyond low Earth orbit. It's been said so many times.
Yeah, but that has been taken way out of context. Let me just put it this right. Okay. Let me just say this. The Valhalla radiation belts, even the guy who was credited by discovering the Valhalla radiation belts, the man himself, even he said that the notion that humans would die traveling through it was ridiculous. You know what I mean, right? Even he said that. And the Valhalla radiation belts is Van Halen radiation belts is more of a technological barrier rather than a biological barrier. Basically, like I said, the first rockets that traveled through it, they didn't have delicate computer chip based systems like we have now. Like the lunar lander and the lunar module, everything, they just number crunched. They were big calculators that calculated, or like you should see the code that one woman wrote for the lunar module, the lunar lander. Millions, like tens of thousands of pages written all done by hand. You know, all that sort of calculations. There wasn't, basically, they were a big calculator compared to modern technology. Modern technology today is, yes, more powerful, but in many terms, it's far more delicate. For example, do you remember the old Nokia phones? Well, they were practically indestructible. You can do whatever you want with them. That's going a long time ago. Fast forward a fair few years, until a couple of years ago, remember those iPhones that started bending in your fucking pocket? It's that sort of concept I'm talking about here. And oh, before I fucking miss this dude, this guy is what I perceive is what's wrong with the Flat Earth community. This chap over here. The ISS is real and is flying at 17,000 miles an hour, dodging the satellites and space debris, and astronauts can do spacewalks while is 2,500 plus degrees. No. Understand that. Understand the core concept, right? There are no satellites and very little space debris at the height the ISS is. The ISS is far lower than most satellites.